You exist fully in your body. When something is painful, it's your body that feels it, not your mind. When something is absolutely, it brings you joy, it goes straight to the body, which tells you that that is exactly where you exist. Hi, and welcome to today's video. So in today's video, I'm gonna talk about the art of finding yourself. And I'm gonna start off by saying you never lost yourself for you to need to find yourself. Yourself has always existed exactly where you are, has always been there with you. You never lost it ever. All that happened was that you just stopped listening to the self and listened to your mind and thought that the mind was yourself, but that was never really it. And I'm saying this as a person who got lost in my mind for a very long time. And I feel like that's usually the product of anxiety and depression and all of this stuff, because we're so stuck in our minds, we forget that honestly, the body knows. Like, it's so funny to say, but your body always knows. It knows you because it has been there with you your whole existence. You have always been there for yourself from birth until the day that you leave this earth. And your body knows. It has always been there. It is so aware of you, and it knows you so well because you know yourself so well. All you have to do is just like listen to yourself. Like I said, the whole video is just gonna be about the art of finding yourself, and more maybe recognizing yourself, recognizing the self, and actually giving it room to exist, coexist with you, because you're not your brain. You are the full unit of it. Your brain is just like a computer. It is what you use to kind of try to understand the world with the information that you have collected. But your body knows that is where you exist. You exist fully in your body. When something is painful, it's your body that feels it, not your mind. When something is absolutely, it brings you joy, it goes straight to the body, which tells you that that is exactly where you exist. I think there's a lot of things that happen to all of us as a collective that kind of like remove you from your body to go into your mind, because that is almost where you feel safe. And if you have ever experienced physical abuse, sexual abuse, verbal abuse, where it was just so volatile that it shook you, you kind of disconnect from yourself. And it's not that you do it purposefully, because why would you want to disconnect from source? You would never want to do that. You do that because that's almost like the last result. That's what the body has as the last result to help you or to keep you surviving, to keep you alive almost. When you experience sexual abuse, you are forced to be in your mind, because being in your body is absolutely terrifying. It is painful. It almost makes you want to end your life, if not actually end your life. So the safest place to be is in your mind, because your mind does not feel pain. Your body does. If you are physically abused, same thing. You have no choice but to retrieve in your mind, because your mind does not feel pain. It analyzes it. It tries to understand pain, but your body will feel it. If you have experienced verbal abuse, you cannot be in your body, because everything that is said to you hurts you. It hurts the body. And your mind can instead try to analyze things. It can try to understand things. It can try to maybe see patterns, try to see the bigger picture of everything. It does not get hurt, but your body will get hurt. So often when you live a life of being in your mind, you are disconnected from your body, because you almost miss, and you often miss the signals that your body sends you, because all you're trying to do is prioritize harmony, try to prioritize acceptance, approval, because without that, you know firsthand that it will hurt you. So you try to just be in your mind and put things together. And because all you All you've known is that, and that is what keeps you safe. You know, your mind will keep you safe. Nobody can ever hurt you here. They can hurt you physically. That is something I believe our body does naturally. It does that to preserve you. And I feel like most of us do not have options in that now. And when you grow up, and that has been what your life has been for a very long time, and I'm saying this also from personal experience, you will confuse mental maturity is not self-embodiment. Recognizing the self, listening to the self, actually trying to decipher what those signals actually are. That is self-embodiment. That is how you find the self. The self talks to you. The self is always there. The self communicates. It realizes, it feels, it analyzes, but not in the same way the mind does. It analyzes things through feeling, through lived experience. The self has always been there. You do not need to find something that was not there. All you need to do is just fully be present and listen to the self, because the self has always been there. And I feel like that's one of the most beautiful things when it comes to being a human, or like existing in the world, because it almost can bring you to tears, because the self has always been there. It has always communicated things to you, but it can communicate something to you. You might feel something, but then you quickly run to your mind to try and understand if what you're feeling is true and in what way is true. But it is true because you have felt it. And then you can try to like understand it in a way that you can try to understand. But when you have experienced humanity at its worst, you can quickly recognize exactly what is going on, because all you have done is lived in your... I might lose my train of thought because my thingy died. But what I'm trying to say is, when you have experienced humanity at its worst and have seen how vile it can be, because you see it from its best to its worst, because you're thrown into it, you have an understanding of it. And it's always evolving throughout your whole life. But that's because you almost played, how do I say it? You've almost played... You've taken a back seat to life just to sit there and be a watcher. You have been a watcher of life. You have been a watcher of people and how people treat other people, and in what way people manipulate other people, in what way people do the things that they do and why they do the things that they do. So when you recognize it, you question yourself again and again and again, all because there's an involuntary way where you're choosing to not fully be there for the self. Because being in your body, you have learned that it is a painful thing to be in. It's a painful place to be. And it is not a painful place to be when you can understand the self and then protect the self. And you protect the self through speaking up, through saying what you feel, through actually acting when you feel like the self is almost threatened. And it can be through words, it can be through what people are doing to you, it can be through the actions that look sweet but are not actually sweet. It can be with way people try to manipulate you with their words. When you recognize it, you do something about it. That is one way where you continue to embody the self. Self-embodiment will continuously always be there, because you listen to the self and you act accordingly to the self. When you say yes, when your body says no, self-abandonment. When you stay in drained situations, friendships, relationships, workplaces, environments, you are self-abandoning yourself, because the body or the self is telling you, I am not okay. And you're choosing to tell yourself, another day, this, maybe in this way, instead of just realizing this is not good for me. It's not good for the self. And you protect the self continuously by showing up for the self. When it is not being treated the way that makes it happy, you do not force it to continuously go through it because it will gain understanding. No, you actually listen to it and then you do right by it. That is how you that's how you continue to align with yourself and then stay true to yourself. And then you're never going to lose the self in need to find it, because you always have coexisted with yourself, you know? When you overdrive your discomfort because it might be uncomfortable for the other party, abandoning the self again. Every time the self tells you something, honor it. And honoring it doesn't mean that you are a dick or an asshole to everyone else around you. You can just simply explain, I am not comfortable in this situation, or I'm not happy, or this is making me feel like. Vocalize what it is that you're feeling. Say it out loud. One, it gives it less power to the other person, and it brings you clarity when you actually say it. You actually go back to being within your body. You are now one. Your body and your brain start working together. You start cohabitating in this thing we call a body. And it's a beautiful thing, but it is a very painful thing to go through. But understand that self-embodiment, or trying to coexist with yourself, is a painful thing when you have not done it for a long time. When you're trying to reintroduce yourself to yourself again, you need to constantly show up for yourself. When you say you will protect yourself, you do so. You do not put yourself in situations that are uncomfortable. You do not say things all for approval when yourself tells you it's uncomfortable or it really wants to say no. You actually continuously embody what the self is telling you. And then with due time, the self will trust you, and then you can easily cohabitate with you and the mind. I hope that this is information that helped whoever is watching this. This is something that I have worked on myself my whole life, just like I shared before. And I do like it really, I talk about this and it almost brings tears to my eyes, because I know that it is not an easy thing to do. Mind you, I am still doing this on a day-to-day basis. In my years, I have fully abandoned myself in many times, but I know that I never did it. And I don't think anyone does it because they want to abandon themselves. It's just because you're just trying to find safety, you know? Safety, not even comfort, safety. But you will always know and you will always be safe when you embody yourself, you know? I hope it helps whoever is watching this. I genuinely believe knowing yourself and understanding yourself is to know and understand others. And your trauma is not something that you should also look at and tell you that it made you stronger, because it traumatized you. And it traumatized you to the point where you had to leave your body and run to your mind, because that is the only place you could find safety. Trauma does not make you stronger. It doesn't make you stronger at all. All it does is traumatize you. And it is up to you to kind of like heal yourself and the people around you. So it's important to make sure that the people around you are actually healing, you know, and the environments you're in are actually healing, so you can easily come back to yourself. And stop neglecting yourself. And yeah, I hope that this video helps, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.